Okay, what should we call this? Palpation of the foot and ankle. Let's go through some. Right, so first MTP joint where the metacarpal hits the phalange. So your first MTP joint is going to be here. Could say at the ball of the foot, here, boom, like that. Navicular bone. So your navicular bone is going to be where your navicular tuberosity is. And then that's the bone right there. Your spring ligament goes from your navicular tuberosity backwards here to the sustenaculum tali on your calcaneus, which is a little bump here. So that is your spring ligament. Navicular tuberosity posteriorly to your sustenaculum tali, that's your spring ligament. Medial malleolus, right there. Deltoid ligament is a band of 4 ligaments that goes down from your medial malleolus and stretches out like that. But really where I would palpate deltoid ligament is underneath the medial malleolus right there. And then it separates specifically into 4. Navicular tuberosity I already did. Second phalange. So we need to know, obviously, these are all your phalanges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are your proximal phalanges. These are your distal phalanges. You don't have a middle one on your big toe, so you have proximal, middle, distal. And in between those, that's your MTP joint. So that would be like second MTP joint. That would be your second PIP joint, proximal interphalangeal joint, and that would be your second DIP joint, your distal interphalangeal joint. All right. Sinus tarsi is a zone where your ATFL is. It's this indentation zone that we look at where my thumb kind of sinks into. That is our sinus tarsi. We look at that zone for sprains, for lateral ankle sprains. Anterior tibialis tendon. Tendon connects muscle to bone. So your anterior tibialis is on the lateral side of your tibia. So the whole muscle belly is here. So if you bring your foot up towards you, this is your anterior tibialis muscle. The tendon is exactly where the bone is. So find the end of the tibia, and that tendon is going to be lateral to that shaft. So anywhere palpating right lateral to that tibia, you would get the point. Anterior tibial shaft is just the bone of the tibia. So the shaft, the bone goes from here to here, right? So the shaft is just anywhere through the middle, palpating through the shaft. Dorsal pedal pulse. Somewhere between first and second or second and third metatarsal, work your way up to the top of the talus. Then you've got a strong pulse. Right there. So most people are on first and second, but it's not at the metatarsals. It's above it on the talar dome, which we'll get to in a second. What's next? Styloid process. So come down the side, go beyond the cuboid. This is the cuboid right here, behind the base of the fifth. Right there, you feel this palpable bump, kind of like you do on the navicular tuberosity. That is the base of the fifth. That is also your styloid process. That is also the site for a Jones fracture. Cuboid, I just said, is posterior to that. Posterior to that. Lateral malleolus, right here, where my index finger point. Okay, ligament. So anterior talofibular ligament. So it goes from the talus, which is here, to the fibula. So it's basically right about where your sinus tarsi zone is, talus to the fibula, anterior talofibular ligament. That is your biggest lateral ankle sprain ligament. Calcaneofibular ligament right here. Posterior talofibular ligament is literally the opposite to that, so we're going to go right back behind here, which is often one that we forget about. Fibula shaft, this is your whole of your fibula, so you're going to palpate through your fibula bone here, and this would be the shaft of the fibula. Behind that are your peroneal tendons. So if you evert your foot like that, those flex those peroneal tendons right here where my 2 fingers inside. Some easy ones. Achilles tendon right here posteriorly. Your Achilles tendon goes down, inserts into your calcaneus. Your talar dome. The easiest way to palpate your talar dome is to plantarflex the foot where the talocrural joint is, tibia, fibula to talus. The top of the talus is called the talar dome. When you point down, you palpate at the top, and it kind of points out and protrudes out at you. So in order to get the point, you can't be in a dorsiflex position. I have to see you plantarflex, boom, palpate where that joint moves, right? Tibio-navicular ligament, again, one of your, so it goes from here to here, which is one of your 4 band of deltoid ligaments. Posterior tib muscle is exact opposite. So your anterior tib muscle is lateral, posterior tib muscle is medial. So it's literally called your shin splint muscle. So when people get shin splints, they get pain on their posterior tibialis muscle, medial to the tibia. You're gonna dig in through there. It's like deep posterior. Soleus muscle. So if you bend your leg, put your foot up to here. Soleus muscle is the lower part of the calf. So from the Achilles, it goes up to your soleus. Then you have your medial gastroc head and your lateral gastroc head. You know it as your calf muscle, but we're going to call it your gastrocnemius muscles, right? Tibiocalcaneal as well, right here. So tibiocalcaneal would go straight down to here, maybe even slightly posterior, so through here. And then one other one, which is not listed on your list, is your high ankle sprain ligament, is your distal anterior tibiofibular ligament. You guys needed to know this for your anatomy, actually. So where your tibia and fibula meet, there is a high ankle sprain ligament. It's called the anterior tibiofibular ligament. We call it ATF, not ATFL. ATFL is lower. High ankle sprain ligament is higher, between tibia and fibula, right there. Some joints that we missed. So tibia, fibula to talus, right in between that. So go ahead and plantar flex and dorsiflex your foot. Where that pivot point is, do it one more time for me, is your talocrural joint. So it's either called your talocrural or your ankle mortise joint. To palpate the subtalar joint, you would actually, and everyone gets this wrong, they do this, can't get to the calcaneus from the anterior side. So you have to go behind the talus, where the talus meets the calcaneus here. So calcaneus leads into talus. So I would basically palpate where my thumb is, there, and it goes round like that. And that is where your subtalar joint is, which allows for inversion and eversion. So you can kind of do that and see that motion there. Last thing, plantar fascia goes from the base of your calcaneus all the way up into your 5 toes. So palpating anywhere through here would be on your plantar fascia. The medial ankle, 4 deltoid ligaments. Deltoid ligament, if I ask you generally deltoid ligament, you're just going to go below the medial malleolus and anywhere across that zone or except. But if I ask you specifics, you have 4 deltoid ligaments. You have your tibio-talar or anterior tibio-talar because it's at the front. So you go from tibia to talus. You have tibio-navicular that kind of goes down to your navicular tuberosity here. You have tibio-calcaneal, which goes through here. And then back, you have your posterior tibio-talar, which goes here. So posterior tibio-talar, tibio-calcaneal, tibio-navicular, anterior tibio-talar. So it's a band of 4. So last one, nerves. We haven't done nerves too much, but there's 4 nerves I need you to know. Behind the fibula, coming down, kind of going into the lateral aspect of the foot, is called your sural nerve, S-U-R-A-L. You have then perineal nerves that come across the front here. You have right here, like sort of more medially going towards the big toe, you have your deep perineal nerve. Here you have your superficial perineal nerve. On this side, which is the most common one for injury after ankle sprains, is called your posterior tibial nerve that comes around here. And typically the way we test for that nerve is by tapping on it to see if it has numbness or tingling down the foot. So that posterior tibial nerve goes medial, behind that medial malleolus and comes through here. That's it.